Hey everybody, this is Mr. Pete with your Algebra 1 e-learning lesson for Thursday, May 14th. And we're shifting gears a little bit and we're going to delve into some statistics topics. And we're going to start with talking about frequency and histograms, okay? And then we'll eventually see some things like mean, median, mode, maybe some things you've seen before. But we're going to talk about what frequency means, look at how to make a frequency table from a set of data, how to make a histogram, which is basically a bar graph of a set of data. So let's go ahead and take a look. So if we have a set of numerical data, we can organize it into intervals. Okay, so intervals are just, like numbers between 1 and 10. We look at how many numbers between 1 and 10, how many numbers between 11 and 20. Okay, those are intervals. So we can organize and analyze the data based on how many data points are in certain intervals that we establish. Okay, so the frequency of an interval is the number of data points in that interval. So frequency is like, how many times is there, how many times do we see a number between 1 and 10? That's the frequency of a data point in the range of 1 and 10. How many times do we see a data point in 11 through 20? That would be the frequency. So how many times we see a point in that interval. Okay, a frequency table groups a set of data values into intervals and shows the frequency for each interval. Okay, intervals are of equal size, do not overlap or have gaps. Okay, so like if we go from 1 to 10 as our first interval, then we go 11 to 20, and then we have to go 21 to 30, and so on. Okay, we don't have any overlapping. Histogram is actually a visual of frequency. Okay, so like we can take a frequency table and put it into a visual format. So it's basically a graph that displays the data from a frequency table. So a histogram has one bar for each interval, and the height of each bar shows the frequency of the data in the interval it represents. So bars are typically of equal width, so they're equal, they're all equally as wide. There are no gaps between them. And there's some terms we're going to see, so we can describe a histogram by its shape. So the first one, this would be uniform, because all the bars are roughly the same height, which means all of the intervals have about, the same frequency. Symmetric, okay, which looks something more like this. Basically, if we took a vertical line, sliced it down the middle, right, it would be like a mirror image on either side. It would be like two equal parts. Skewed, that's where we see a peak that's not in the center, that's off to one side. Okay, so the highest bar is off to one side. Again, each one of these bars represents an interval. Okay, so, and the height of the bars represents the frequency of data points that are in that certain interval. Okay, so the taller the bar, the more data points there are in that particular interval. So a cumulative frequency table shows the number of values that lie in or below a given interval. So basically you're going to see that involves adding up successive intervals. Okay, as we go from one interval to another, we actually add as we go along, and that gives us a value, what we call cumulative frequency. And we'll see how that works in just a second. All right, so let's take a set of data, and so these represent points scored by various players in a basketball game. So there's several different point totals for various players in a basketball game. So we're going to make a frequency table, a histogram, and a cumulative frequency table for the data. Okay, now on your assignment, which is on Schoology, some questions will just be having you make a frequency table. Some questions will say a cumulative frequency table, which looks more like this, okay, which also, involves finding the frequency and then cumulative frequency. Again, you're going to see we're going to add as we go along. And some problems will just ask you for a histogram, but before you do a histogram, it's a good idea to do a frequency table, right? Because a histogram is just a visual representation of a frequency table. So we are going to do all three of them with this one set of data, okay? So let's see what we got here. Now I already established some intervals here, 0 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 through 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. All right, just kind of based on the numbers we have here. Okay, so again, establish your intervals. Again, since our lowest number is 6, the highest number is 45, I figured a good place to start would be 0 to 10, and then we go up through 50 and just kind of have, 10 numbers in each interval. So, 0 to 10, how many numbers are there? Let's see what we got from 0 to 10. We got 8, we got 6, and, we got 10. So that's 3, so I'll just go ahead and put 3. I'm just making tally marks here to kind of keep track of how many there were. 11 to 20, looks for numbers 11 to 20. Let's see, 14. That's 11 to 20. 18, that also fits in that interval. 11, that fits in there. 15 also fits, and so does 20. So we actually have 5 point totals that are in that interval of 11 to 20. 21 to 30, let's see, we got 22, and we got 25. Okay, so that's just 2. 31 to 40. Okay, so let's see, we have 32 and 34, so that's just 2. And 41 to 50, we just have 42 and 45, so that's also going to be 2. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do the cumulative frequency table. So this first column is exactly the same as the frequency table. So 0 to 10, we had 3 scores. 11 to 20 had 5. 21 to 30, we had 2. 31 to 40, 41 to 50, both 2. So the cumulative frequency when we start out, okay, the first value is the same as the frequency, right? Because it's cumulative frequency is the number of occurrences or number of data points in that range or below. So when we start, these two numbers are the same. Then as we go, we add, right? So I go to 3 plus 5, I now have 8. Because now in the first 2, in this interval and the one before it, there's a total of 8. And as I go along, I just add. 8 plus 2 is what? 10. Plus 2 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. That's the cumulative frequency. Okay, and it makes sense that we end up with 14 because we have 14 data points. Okay, so again, if we add these numbers up, 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 6, so that's 14. So this number should always be the total, the sum total of the total number of data points, the total number of values you have. All right, histogram, again, just a visual representation of a frequency table. So on the vertical axis is the frequency. So how often a data point occurs in a specific region, in a specific interval. Right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so our first interval, 0 to 10. Okay, so how many do we have in 0 to 10? We had 3. So I'll draw a bar here, go up to 3. Okay, so that's the first bar. Second one, interval from 11 to 20. 11 through 20, how many do we have? We have 5. So my bar should go up to 5. Okay. Next interval, 21 to 30. I have 2. So we go up to 2, kind of come over this way. All right, and let me just fix that real quick here. So we had 11 to 20. Remember, these should not overlap in any way. And then we had the one from 21 to 30, which is just going to be at 2. So the height will be like that, 21 through 30. The next one, 31 to 40, it's going to be the same height. This is 31 to 40. And then the last one, 41 to 50, is also at the same height. They're all at 2, so 41 to 50. So that is a histogram. Again, just a visual representation of the frequency table. So 0 to 10, it's 3 units high because we have 3 values in that interval. From 11 to 20, we're 5 units high because we have 5 values in the interval from 11 to 20. And all these, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, are all the same height because we only have 2 in each of those. All right, so again, you will have an assignment on Schoology in the folder for May 14th. Some questions just be a frequency table. Some will have you'll be looking at a cumulative frequency table. Some will say make a histogram. Remember, before you can make a histogram, you need to make a frequency table. Okay, so until next time, we'll see you later.